friends, and welcome to another episode of the Treehouse. I'm really excited to have you here for this episode because we have a lot of exploring to do, from visiting the Nature Center and meeting some bird friends to learning some new signs. So let's go ahead together and check it out.
Hi friends, it's Mrs. Bethany at the Shelby Township Library, and I just wanted to tell you about the Build a Buggy Challenge that we just had at the library. We do all sorts of fun events that you and your friends and family can come to, and today we had kids building little cars. They were called buggies. We did a Build a Buggy Challenge where we took some cardboard and we took some wheels and we took some axles and tape and markers and construction paper and stickers, and we decorated a car and we figured out how to build it so that it would roll, and then we used some cardboard to make ramps, or we used some fans, and we tested out different ways to blow the car across the room or to make it go with gravity down the ramp. So we learned about science and engineering, and we used some math and some creativity to decorate our cars today, and it was really fun. It was with the Long Way Planetarium and Sloan Museum that's over in Flint. So if you're looking for something to go do and you're taking a little trip, you could drive over there one day. They do a lot of cool things over there. And we have all sorts of other fun programs coming up at the library, and we hope to see you here soon.
Hello friends, and welcome to Sign of the Day. I'm super excited to have you here because we are learning about the seasons. Do you know what I mean by seasons? When we go outside, we may notice that the weather changes, right? Maybe sometimes it's colder, sometimes it's a lot hotter, and there's a reason for that, right? And that's because the seasons are changing. Our first sign today is going to be, well, you probably guessed it, it's seasons. So we're going to need both of our hands for this sign. Now, we're going to learn one of the alphabet signs. We're going to learn the letter S. So we need whatever hand we use to write or color with. We're going to make a fist, and what's really important is that we fold over our thumb so it goes in front of our first two fingers. You see how I did that? Goes over. Doesn't go under because that would make it M. We don't want an M, we want an S. So we have our S in one hand for season, and our other hand is just going to make this nice wall for us here. So our thumb is going to face us, and our palm is going to face our S. And now what we're going to do is to take our thumb and put it against our palm and move it forward and around in a big circle. And that's the sign for seasons. Do you want to try it with me? It's pretty easy. All right, let's make our fist and put over our thumb. Now take our hand. We're going to put our hand right here and move it around in a circle. You did an excellent job. Let's try that one more time. So we make our fist, move it over, and there we go. Seasons. Great job. Now it's time for us to learn one of the seasons. This one, I'm going to be honest, is probably my least favorite because that means we get a lot of snow. Did you guess what season that is? You're right, it's winter. Now, you might be familiar with this sign. That's right, we just learned this, right? We move our thumb over to make that S. And now, for winter, we're making two. You see how I have my two fists making the S? Well, they come together and we move them back and forth for winter. This is really similar to when we do cold. So if we say that we're really cold outside, usually we're probably meaning that it's winter time, right? Do you want to try it with me? Let's make our S's. And now we go and we shake them back and forth like this. Winter. Very good. Now it's time for my favorite season, when all of that snow starts to melt and our flowers start to come out. So this sign is going to be for the season spring. We're going to need both of our hands again. This time, our hand that once was our wall is now going to become like a little pot or even the ground, because our other hand is going to form a flower that springs right up and blooms. So imagine you're going outside and seeing all the flowers come up where there used to be some snow. Do you want to try it with me? All right, let's make our little pot and let's have our flower grow big and strong and colorful. Imagine tulips and lilies and my favorite daffodils blooming up. And now we have spring. Very good. Now, after spring, it usually gets really hot outside, right? And that means that it's, you guessed it, it's summer. Now, summer is going to only take one hand, and we're going to learn another letter. So, when our pointer finger makes this, so it kind of curves like a hook, this is the letter X. So what we're going to do is take our pointer finger and drag it across our forehead, and when we do that, we slowly make an X. So as we pull across, our finger starts to become a hook and it pulls. Summer. Do you want to try that with me? It's pretty easy. It only takes one hand. Here we go, starting at the top and drag across. Very good. Summer. Now summer is probably your favorite. I know it's a lot of my friends' favorites. And I like to do a lot of exploring in the summer, right? Maybe we go swimming or even running. Now, our last season and our last time we're going to learn about is after we have summer, it's time for fall. Now, for this one, we're going to need both of our hands again. And our arm is also going to help participate too. So we're going to make a fist that goes across, so it's going to cross your body. And then our other hand is going to have our thumb go this way, and we're going to have 4 fingers. And what our 4 fingers are going to do, it's going to brush our elbow like this. Now you might be thinking, well, why? Well, imagine this is a trunk of a tree, and we have some leaves falling. Now we have the season fall. Do you want to try it with me? All right, let's get our tree trunk up and bring our leaves, and as it falls, you could even move your fingers too. Imagine all the red and green and brown and orange leaves falling. It's one of my favorite seasons. And now we've learned all the seasons. So thank you for signing with me, and make sure you practice until next time. Have fun. Bye.
Hello everyone. You may notice I'm somewhere a little different, right? Or you may recognize it too. I'm at the Shadbush Nature Center. And I'm here for a very specific reason, one I'm really excited to share with you. We have some friends who flew all the way in. And what I mean by flew, that's a little hint, right? We're going to visit some new bird friends. We're gonna meet some falcons and some owls. So I'm super excited for you to go check it out.
Yeah, she's not a great horned owl, but she looks a lot like the typical great horned owl. There are some differences. She is smaller, quite a bit smaller than a great horned owl. If you're seeing them at a distance though, that's hard to tell. And the few little differences are those horn feathers or plume of horns are closer together and they are very long. Sometimes when he does go back in his box, he makes a very special call that we know is a happy sound. Sometimes he will, sometimes he doesn't. So we can try. But when a bird flies, it has to push air. Well, you don't get to see the air. If you're in the right place, you can feel a little bit of air that comes from their wings. Because the real way that they go up and frontwards is by pushing a lot of air down and backwards. So every time you see a bird fly, remember it's going up and frontwards because it's pushing air down and backwards. And that's the real trick of how they fly. wish she had been on a racing team. There are a lot of birds that have special compasses inside their head that make them fantastically good at finding their way home.
Hello everyone and welcome to Craft Corner. Are you excited to be here with me? Good, because I'm excited to have you, because today we are making something super special. Now, one of my favorite birds to watch, especially in the winter, when there's snow on the ground and everything is nice and white, we get to see all the birds and all their bright colors shine really through, and especially the red cardinal. So for today, we're gonna make one of our very own that we can look at all the time. All we need is some construction paper. I have picked out this nice blue one that's going to be our background that we'll start with. So what we need is now a white piece of construction paper because we are going to be making some tree trunks for our cardinal to sit on. I am going to start with a bigger trunk, okay? Now the nice part about this is when we cut our tree trunk out, our lines don't have to be very straight because a tree trunk won't naturally be very straight too. So if it's a little wobbly, that's okay. But all we're going to do is cut a nice line all the way down. And this will be our first tree trunk. Now, if you can't use scissors on your own, that is okay. Definitely ask a grown-up to help you. And we'll carefully cut down. And now that we have our one strip, I'm going to cut little notches. What that means is like little triangles on the corners of our trunk. And I'm gonna pull that out. And the reason for that is because tree trunks aren't naturally perfect. They have little indents, little holes that birds and squirrels can hide nuts in throughout the winter time. So we want to make our tree trunk the exact same, where it's not perfect and it has little holes for our cardinal friends to hide some things in or to stay warm and hide out in the winter. So now that I've cut out a few triangles on each side, I'm gonna brush away our little triangles and take out my handy dandy glue stick, and I'm gonna glue on our first tree trunk. So I'm just gonna choose one side and add some glue onto it. And what I'm going to do is for this tree trunk, since it's our first one, I'm gonna put it to one side of our paper. And I'm going to make sure that the top lines up with both sides of the paper. So my blue lines up with my white on both the top and the bottom. Now it's my favorite part to press it down, use all of our might, and make sure it's nice and tightly on there so our tree trunk doesn't fall off. Now I'm going to add 2 more tree trunks. So I'm just gonna cut away. All right, now it's time for our second step. So I've added 2 more tree trunks and I've really spaced it apart where I have this big gap in the middle because we're going to be adding a branch to go this way across our empty space so we have an actual place for our cardinal to rest on. So we are going to make a little branch for our cardinal. So this time, we only have to use a smaller piece of the paper, so a small rectangle. And remember, the highlight, it doesn't have to be perfect. So now what we get to do is I'm going to cut one part of our branch, so you can choose either end and make it a little bit more round, like a branch. And I'm gonna do it so it has a little notch. The Put a little tiny branch next to it. Just like that. And we cut in some of our little indents, our little holes into it too, just like we did with the bigger pieces. And now what I'll do is we'll glue it on down. So we're going to choose our big tree trunk here, and then towards the bottom of our tree trunk, we're going to slip in our little branch. So I can take my handy dandy glue stick again and coat the back of it very nicely. So we have a big strong branch for our cardinal to sit on, and we'll put it right in there. So now I have a nice branch for my cardinal to rest. So we'll go ahead and I'm gonna put this one off to the side so I have a big space to make my cardinal. So I'm gonna put my hand down, you can choose either one, and we are going to put our palm so it's at the edge and start tracing around. And we really wanna make sure our fingers are fanned out too, so that our cardinal has some nice little wings and feathers spread out. So we're gonna go around. You can use a pencil or a pen, anything you can see, so that we can cut out our hand once we're done, or I should say our cardinal when we're done. All right, so now I got my big cardinal here. I'm gonna cut it out. Now the nice part is, just like a lot of bird crafts we get to do, we get to use our hand. It's fun when we get to use our hand to trace around. Our hands get to be a lot of things. All right. All right, now it's time for our fourth step, which is to actually glue down and now create the face of our cardinal. So we're gonna take our handy dandy glue stick once again, and this time we wanna make sure that our palm, so the bottom of our hand, this part of the cardinal, is facing our other tree trunks right here. And our feathers are facing the outside, so they'll stick off a little bit of our paper. So we'll just make sure that our palm is all covered with our glue. And we'll flip the cardinal over and glue it so that our cardinal is resting on our little branch that we created for him. So our cardinal is now going to look something like this. So if we can see, our cardinal right here is on our branch, and now we get to create the face of our cardinal, which is very exciting. And all we need is a black piece of construction paper. This is probably one of my favorite steps, because all we have to do is cut a little corner piece, because we need that little triangle, because that's going to be the face of our cardinal. So we get to now just glue that little triangle onto our palm. So a little bit of that glue once again, cover it on up. You don't want our cardinal's face to fall off, right? Now we're going to put it right over and line up our lines. So now we have a nice point at the end of our cardinal's face, because we need to add that nice bright orange beak. Because what good is a cardinal if it can't sing us some wonderful songs? And we need that beak, that orange beak. So once again, I got to cut off a little triangle off the end of that paper, and we get to glue it to the end. So we get to match up those triangles. So now we get to glue. So we'll get our handy dandy glue stick. Once again, now it's a very tiny little piece of paper. We're gonna put it right at the tip of our cardinal's face. And one last final touch, our cardinal has to see, right? So it gets an eye. I'm gonna put a nice googly eye on there. Now, if you don't have googly eyes at home, that's okay. You can draw one on too. Or maybe even a nice sticker would be cool. You could give it a star eye. All right, we're gonna put down, now that I put some glue on our googly eye, I'm gonna make sure I press it down so it doesn't fall off. That would not be good for our cardinal. And now we've created a nice winter cardinal. Look at that finished product. We did such a wonderful job together, having the nice red, the orange beak, everything like that. I cannot wait to see how yours turns out. So make sure that you have a lot of fun. Get out that color paper, get out your binoculars too, and look outside to see what birds you see flying around in the sky, because maybe you could add some other ones to the other branches too. So until next time, keep creating and have fun. Bye.
Tonight we have our annual teen mystery night. We've written a mystery for the teens to solve, and we have some witnesses and suspects, and we have some crime scenes. Our teens are going to investigate different areas, gather the information, and try to solve the crime tonight. So our mystery takes place in 1987, way before internet, and when we had games on our phones in our pockets, and it takes place in an arcade. The owner of the arcade has been attacked, and it's up to our detectives to figure out who did it. So in each room we have a witness or a suspect that has evidence. All of the characters have been at the arcade at the time of the attack. So they have seen something, they have heard something, they may have something that is a clue to what happened. So at the end of their investigation, we're going to get together and we're going to present our theories as to who did it and why they did it, and if there was a possible weapon. And then we'll do a big reveal and we'll explain what happened at the time of the attack of our arcade owner.
All right, friends, now we've reached the end of the episode, but we have a lot more exploring to do. So make sure you practice your signs, visit the Nature Center, and go outside and explore. Until next time, play together, play fair, and play nice. Bye.